Oh, Teresa, how you doing?
Excellent. Yourself?
I am great. Really excited to have you on Friday Flow. I was recently on your podcast a few weeks ago, if I'm not mistaken, and the conversation just flew so well that I'm like, hey, I definitely need to have you on my show so we can continue this great conversation. But before diving into all that, I just want to present you to my audience, and I'll do the same to yours. So Teresa Greco is a happiness coach and a Reiki healer, as well as being a best-selling author. She has her own show and so many things that we're going to talk about in a second. And for your audience, my name is Dedeyan. I am a professional speaker and a peak performance coach. So Teresa, let me just start off by saying, first of all, I love your hair. Oh, it's always look beautiful. I love the way that you placed it. So I just wanted to start off by saying,
Oh,
how is your Friday so far?
thank you. Well, this is definitely one of the highlights. I'm in Toronto right now. We're celebrating TIFF as well. And so I have an event that I'm attending tonight. So it's going to be a good day.
What is TIFF? What is that celebration?
Oh, it's Toronto like film festival.
Oh, okay. So, okay,
Hmm.
Toronto International Film Festival. Okay,
Yes.
very cool. My editor and colleague Stephen always talks to me about these festivals. So, okay, I didn't know it was coming up in Toronto, which is always fun. Do you go to that often, or is this the first time that you're going to go attend to it?
This is my second time.
Second time. All right, that's really cool. So, Teresa, like I said, I had so many questions in regards to the Reiki stuff, which I didn't know that actually you've done that. I saw it in their bio when I was researching it, and that's something I want to start off with, and then go into some conversations on how to be happy, and just continue the great conversation how we could support these people listening, and everybody's tuning in. Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Gonzalo. So let's start off with what is Reiki? How do you go about it? How can people utilize it in their personal life? How does that make them happier as individuals?
So Reiki is really energy healing, and so it's a modality that started in the East, and it is a no hands-on approach to healing as well. We can lay hands on an individual, but basically I act as a conduit to allow source energy to come through me to deliver the healing that the individual needs. And so sometimes the person may come with a physical dis-ease in the body or an ailment in the body that they want me to address. But sometimes they just feel like stuck. They feel like they're not advancing in their business, or there are barriers in their personal life, or there's just like, I get a feeling of dis-ease within them that may also indicate that there could be some emotional issues. There could be some spiritual blocks as well. Although I feel like spiritually we're never blocked, although intellectually we might think that we are. And so I really don't know as a conduit what the healing is or where it may need to be directed to, but their spirit knows that. And so that's basically how it goes.
Okay, so this is very interesting because I truly believe in energy, and I've done some research to kind of look at it on the aspect of like this is real. Like everything is made out of an atom, right? And an atom is actually 99.999999999% empty space, 13 nines after the dot. So that means it's almost 100% empty space. But that empty space is not really empty; it's energy. So like we said, if
Mhm.
I'm an atom and I'm touching myself, and you're an atom and you're touching yourself, you're in Toronto and I'm in Montreal right now. So we could be energetically connected because our circular rayon of energy is so deep. Now, when it goes into that aspect, and when you work with some people in regards to Reiki without necessarily touching them, do you do some work in distance as well? So imagine if I'm telling you, you know
Mhm.
what, like you mentioned, I might be having some issues with my business, my personal life, whatever the case is, ailment on my back, whatever, and you're in Toronto, can you connect to that energetic body? And if so,
Mhm.
how do you go about doing that? Like, how does this process happen for you?
So there are some prayers that we do beforehand that include some symbols that we do with our hands to basically connect into that space. And then if I'm doing it remote, I might ask for like even if you wanted it for a family member or something, that often just a picture is enough, a name enough for me to say, okay, this healing is now going to be directed towards that person. Now, it's important for that person to be a willing participant. So
Mm.
that's the key, that if somebody is coming for healing, they have to want the healing to occur. It's like on a soul level, their spirit is saying, yes, I am consenting for this healing to happen. But if someone is resistant to it and it's like, oh, this is never going to work, and oh, for I'm fine, I'll do it, then it doesn't happen. Like, you have to consent to it. And then even when I go into that space, your spirit also consents to it. And so it's like my spirit in essence is connecting with yours. And so oftentimes the healing that's done on the other individual is also done for me as well. So it's like, if you could imagine a light like above me that represents source energy, and then it's just streaming through me and then coming through my hands, or if I'm doing it distance wise, then it's just coming basically through my mind, in that case, or through energy, and then it's being directed towards that particular individual. I'm also a channeler as well, which means that spirit communicates to me, and I'm able to relay messages while I'm doing it. So if someone has a particular question or something that they want answered, spirit will, if as long as the person is ready to receive that information, it will be given to me, and then I relay that.
Okay, that is so interesting. Really, really like how we go about it. And I want to get into like the more practical aspects of how to make people more happy, or how can we work on our happiness? Because the reality is, our brain, over the thousands of years that it's evolved to become this Homo sapien that we are, with the prefrontal cortex and so on. If you look at the structure of the brain, how it started, it had one goal, and it still has that one goal, which is to keep us alive. A goal is not to make us happy, make us fulfilled, make us abundant. So within the structure that we live in today, with the certain social media approaches, with our consumerism and so on, we kind of get detached from that, and it's very easy as individuals to not be happy if we're not working on it actively. So with your ideologies and your expertise, what are certain things that you work with your clients and on yourself on a daily basis to really be happy? Is that something that can be worked on a daily basis? And if so, what are some tricks and methodologies that you would recommend in that regards?
So it's really about connecting and nurturing all aspects of ourselves, our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self. So happiness is not just an emotional experience that we have when things are going right in our life, and then when all of a sudden now we're having physical pain, or we've lost our job, and now all of a sudden we're not happy. It's that happiness is more than a state of mind. Even it's more than just choosing happy thoughts or choosing to be happy. Happiness is a state of being where our spiritual self is already happy. So if we acknowledge that we're more than just our physical, mental, and emotional state of being, that our spiritual self, as I said, is already love, peace, and happiness. It is all of those things, but we don't tend to talk about nurturing and connecting with the spiritual self, but that's really the part of us that's always happy, always at peace, and always loving. And that when we are born into this world, our original self is happiness already, is love, peace, and happiness. And we see that in children. Innately, they are love, peace, and happiness. But the world very slowly takes us away from that and has us feeling a whole host of other emotions, which we feel on the day to day. But it is really just a matter of coming home to who we really are, aligning with the love, peace, and happiness that's always inside of us to feel. So this is what's important for people to recognize, is that we are conditioned to think that happiness is outside of us, in our titles, in our degrees, in our possessions, in our relationships, in our experiences, that unless I find that perfect person, I won't be happy, or I'll only be happy when I go on that vacation, or when
Mm-hmm.
I achieve that promotion at work, or when I buy that car or that purse or whatever. We're conditioned to think like that. I mean, the entire industry of like commercialism is all based on that psychology of making people believe that they need to look outside of themselves for that next best thing that's going to make them happy, not recognizing that we are happiness already. And so happiness is like a two-sided coin. One side is, how much time are you taking to connect with the happiness that's already inside of you? And if you are working 60 to 80 hours a week, you are not making time to connect with that happiness. So it's important that we do that because it's inside of us at any moment to feel. But if we have overscheduled ourselves and we are not taking time to participate in those activities that help us to connect with the happiness inside of us. So this is very key, is that it's not the activity that's providing the happiness. The activity is a vehicle that allows you to connect with the happiness that already exists within you. So for example, during the pandemic, certain activities were taken away from people. So, oh, I couldn't go to the baseball game and that makes me happy. I couldn't go and eat on the patio and that makes me happy. I couldn't hang out with people that I really find fun because that makes me happy. Happiness goes wherever you go. And what happens in those moments when you are participating in those activities or with those people, you are completely present. You are mindful, you are in the now, you are not forgetting about your problems, all the things that you have to do. When you're in the baseball game or hockey game, you're completely immersed in what's happening. You're feeling like so amazing because you're in what science calls flow state, when you are connected to that part of yourself that is already happy, because you're now not thinking about what you have to do later, or you're all the mistakes that you did and the regret that you have and the shame and the guilt and all these other things that we tend to feel when we're not in the present moment. But when we're there with our friends and we're enjoying the food that we're eating and the conversation, you're like, wow, I feel so happy. Yeah, because what you're doing is connecting to a part of yourself that's always there for you to connect to. And so I have like my top 5 steps that I usually talk about as ways that we can connect with that place within ourselves that I would say is universal for everybody, but it is really knowing what is your happiness toolkit. What are those activities that allow you to connect to that place of happiness inside of you? Those activities that help you to connect with the love and peace inside of you. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars to go to a remote location to feel at peace. You don't. You just need to come home to yourself and to connect with that peace inside of you. And so knowing what your toolkit is, and that toolkit is different for everybody. Can you hear me? No. And I don't know, anyone's watching. Who can you hear? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Hey, yeah, you're back.
Sorry, I am so sorry. I have no idea why it cut off. Can you? I'm sure everybody else kind of heard you. Do you mind just repeating the latter part of what you were talking about? I got you until the happiness is a part of you, and when you move, you're moving with the happiness. After that, you the COVID aspect of if an activity is happy and so on. Just give me a small snippet because there's a lot that you mentioned that I did want to highlight again. So just mention that last little part.
Okay, so basically what we lost Chris only. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, cool. So people were able to hear me. So basically what I was saying is that it's important for you to know what's in your happiness toolkit. And those are those activities that help you to connect with the happiness that's inside of you. So for some people it's cooking. Some people it's going to the gym and exercising. Some people it's like when they're skiing or when they're drawing or when they're writing or when they're painting or when they're playing with their kids or when they're walking their dog, they're out in nature, they're meditating, they're praying. Like there's a multitude of activities that help us to bring ourselves back into alignment so that our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual well-being are all being taken care of. We can't just take care of our mind. We are more than just our mind. And that if we want, let's say, a physical transformation, it's important that our mind is on board, our emotional self is on board, that we're loving ourselves in the process and feeling that love and compassion for ourselves. And spiritually, we're there as well. That part of ourselves is always, as I said, love, peace, and happiness. We just, we talk about it in different ways, Chris. We're like, oh, it's our intuition. It's that gut instinct. It's that little voice inside of us. Yes, that part of us exists, but a lot of times we don't talk about it, or it's considered weird or woo-woo, but it is the energy part of us. Well, how we began this conversation today is talking about how everything in this entire universe and even beyond this universe is all energy. And so that part of us is the infinite and eternal part of us that we also need to integrate into our happiness. Like I was listening to something today about, as I'm actually doing my PhD in happiness, so I'm diving very deep into the science of happiness. And the science of happiness neglects the spiritual self. And that part is the missing component. Why, in North America, one of the wealthiest countries in the world with access to technology and information and tons of material things, people are still not happy. Like it doesn't make sense, right? And it's that there's a component that's missing that we're not talking about, and that's basically the way that I'm talking about happiness is the part that I'm going to be bringing forward into, let's say, this realm of happiness.
Okay, so much to unpack that. I'm gonna try to do my highlight certain things. You just dropped so many golden nuggets here. So first and foremost, the aspect of it is not the activity in itself that is the happiness, but how you're feeling doing that activity, and you could get that with if you reconnect to your center. The fact that you correlate it to when we're younger as kids, we have that naturally. And then as we get older, which is normal, life changes, we get adult situations, we have bills, we have kids, and so on. So we have to be more refined to reconnect to our child self, let's call it. One thing you mentioned is state of flow, which is a research that was popularized by Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, Czech researchers. Highly recommend people to go pick up that book, which gets you in that state of flow, which you correlated it to that. When we're doing an activity, sometimes we always think about what's the future, what's the past. I'll only be happy, like you said, when I'm married, when I have $1 million in this house, this car, but you're disassociating yourself from that present moment. And your brain doesn't want you to be in that present moment because that's the only moment he cannot control. He could control the past by changing certain elements of the past, and he 100% controls the future of thinking about what the future is. So I love the fact that you're saying connect to those centers. Now, on a practical level, what are some real things that you do to connect to this? Is it through gratitude work? Is it through meditation on a daily basis? Is it just taking a step back and looking at, hey, let me count my blessings? What are certain things that you do on a practical level to really restructure your happiness? Because I'm sure even though you are a happiness expert, it is something that you do on a daily basis to keep that framework of happiness alive within your life.
Yes. So thank you. And you actually mentioned two of them. So one of my top steps is meditation. It is that practice that can help us to go inward, right? Again, we're so conditioned to look outside of ourselves for things and for answers. How many of us say, asking our friends and family, what do you think about this? What do you think if I do that? Really, the answers all exist inside of us, but we're conditioned to look outside. So even when we're wondering, what path should I take? Is this a good thing for me to do? Think about it and then go inward and ask yourself, how do you feel? How do you feel will lead us towards our happiest life? What do I think about this will not? We rationalize situations that are not good for us because they make us money. So, I'll continue to drive to this job that's like an hour away from my house and I have to sit in a ton of traffic that doesn't make me feel good. And then I work with colleagues that disrespect me or my boss disrespects me, but it makes a lot of money. So I'll continue to subject myself to this ill environment every day, or the relationships that really you should be like eliminating or creating barriers because when you leave them, you end up feeling worse about yourself. But it's okay. She's been a longtime friend of mine. She's going through a rough patch. It's okay. I'll be the punching bag. No. How do I feel says to you, so your happiness is a compass. And if you're not feeling happy in the presence of certain people or in certain situations, you should be honoring that and not using the mind. So really, Chris, it's about following the heart and allowing the mind to figure out how it's going to make it happen for you. So if you don't feel good at that job every day, it's like, okay, this is where the mind steps in and says, what can I do to solve this situation? Where do I need to look to maybe transition to a different place of work? And that like doors close and doors open for exactly these reasons. And it's like, no, well, then we medicate, we distract ourselves with things, we take recreational drugs, all of this stuff to numb our emotions that are telling us we're not following like the path that we're supposed to be towards our greatest life, towards our happiest life. So meditation is one of those practices, like I said, that helps you to go inward, to leave your thoughts behind, and to go and make time to connect with that part of ourselves that we don't always connect with. That little voice, that gut instinct, that intuition, whatever word you want to call it, it's that part of us. The second thing you said was gratitude, but I'll stop there in case you wanted to say something.
I mean, okay, let me just say something and I'm continue, because what you just said is making me smile from ear to ear, because it's the honest truth. And when I realized that, I don't know if most of people know this, like I said, I'm a high performance coach, but I have 8 coaches and mentors in my life in different aspects. And when I started working with my spiritual coach, she always just told me all answers are within, all answers are within, you know it within. And in the beginning, I didn't understand what that meant. I understood it in a practical sense, but I didn't feel it. And then once I really got in tune of like, oh my God, wait a minute, she's right. The answer is not outside, it's always within. I realized that after a bit of an intense way, I did a Vipassana 10-day silent meditative retreat. And in those 10 days, when I went within to find whatever I needed to find, I realized that everything does come within. And then from that perspective, I look at life differently. Every time there's a situation that there's an argument with somebody, or there's a failure in business, or X, Y, and Z, I just look at it as that's an outside thing that's only getting triggered with something inside of me. Even though somebody's screaming, even though whatever the case is, you're able to reassociate that. And once you see life like that, like you're mentioning, you feel so much more at peace and in control to really get in tune with that like gut feeling that you were calling it, and let life guide you. Because it already, like, you know, it doesn't make mistakes. And it's not going to make a mistake with you. It's not going to make a mistake with me. We're exactly throughout our process, and it guides us through that process. And essentially what I understand is to get connected with that, to be able to let the universe guide us and go towards that fear and not repress it, calling it out of practicality. Like you mentioned, oh my God, that job is okay paying me, but I'm stuck in traffic and so on. So I love that aspect. Wanted to highlight it. Keep on with your second one with the gratitude, which I'm guessing what you're going to
yeah. So science has proven that gratitude is directly correlated with happiness. So what's important though is that a lot of people think, well, it's happy people who are grateful because they have lots of amazing things, their job, their family, their partner, all that they have, their life is going right. So of course they have lots to be grateful for, but it's actually the opposite. It's that we need to be grateful first, and then the feelings of happiness are automatically elicited. So when we practice gratitude by thinking of all the small things that are going right in our life, it's not about, oh, wow, I can only be grateful when I'm able to buy that sports car or when I purchase that house, like where you think it's like it's big things that you have to be grateful for. No, it's the tiny little things. For me, the moment I wake up in the morning that I have another day to live is that first moment of gratitude to say, I made it through the night. I have another day today. And then the ability to go to make my way into the washroom uninhibited. How many people can't do that without a struggle, right? But you don't even think about it, right? And people begrudgingly go in and, and then maybe they've gone onto their phone and they've checked their emails and they've like listened to the news and they've started their day already not on the right foot. And then so that just carries on throughout the entire day. And so it's important that moment by moment, it's like, oh, I'm so thankful for this coffee that I get to have this morning. And I'm so thankful for the clothes that I have to put on. And I'm so thankful for the makeup that I have to put on my face. And I'm so thankful for the car that I have that brings me to the places I have to go today. And it's like, it's on and on. It's the small little things that when we do this in the morning, Chris, it actually elicits 1,400 biochemicals in the morning that stay with us for 6 hours. So it's, if we can do it in the morning where we take just 5 minutes, even, and maybe not even, just to say, wow, I'm so thankful that I'm alive today. I'm thankful for my kids that are here with me. I'm thankful for my spouse. I'm thankful for the bed that I got to sleep in. I'm thankful for the job that I get to go to today. I'm thankful for, like, really when you start to go into it, and sometimes people struggle with that, but think about just your kids that day. Maybe pick a focus. What do you love about your kids? I love my son's humor. I love this. But really, it's not just, oh, I'm thankful for my kids. What are you really thankful about your kids? What are you really thankful about your partner? A lot of times we shit on our partners that they're not doing this, they're not doing that, but you're with them and there's good qualities there. I'm thankful for when he brings me a tea and a coffee when I haven't asked for it. I'm thankful for when he like pays me a compliment just out of the blue. I'm thankful when he rubs my back and I didn't ask for it. Like it's if you really sit and think about all the little things, it's like, wow, like see how immediately you brought tears to my eyes? Because it's a really powerful practice. And when we leave that practice, as I said, there are biochemicals and hormones that have been released into the body that stay with us for up to 6 hours throughout the entire day. So I encourage people to start their day off on a positive foot. Don't look at the news. Don't read all the emails you have to do. Don't like immediately immerse yourself with like all of that stress response content that immediately like, oh God, this is what I have to deal with today. No, we don't want to do that. If you start your morning off on a good foot, it just translates to everything that you do. And I don't know, it's almost like miraculous, but there's like a flow that you set up for the rest of your day that just translates into like everyone that you're going to meet that day, everything that you're going to tackle that day. It just seems to flow and with ease and happiness.
Okay, let's unpack that just top of deliciousness, and let's just start with the last part. You didn't just tell us, you literally showed us of how those biochemistries happen within your brain and within your body. You're talking about your kids, and instantly you felt the emotions. And I'm just taking a moment, if you are listening to this and you're a kid or a mother, please reach out to your parents, tell them that you love them, and vice versa. I see my mom right now in the live right now, so I truly know that feeling that you were feeling, and it's so present. So I love the fact that you're alluding to that and alluding to it in the morning, because our brain is the most absorbing in the morning. That positive methodology or that positive energy in the beginning, it's going to be so much more better for the rest of your day. So I love the fact that you highlighted that. Furthermore, in regards to understanding what you really need to be grateful for, now I truly believe, like, listen, we're consumerism community, let's call it North America and so on, which is okay. I truly believe in capitalism, but with capitalism with empathy. And it's great to go have the goals to have that car, have this, that, and the other, the house and so on. But the reality is the most valuable things in life are given to us for free. And that's our thoughts, that's our ideas, our loves, that's our emotions. And we just saw an example of this. So that's when you break it down to the level of gratitude of what you have. You're able to see that, wow, what I have for free is the most valuable. Granted, you want to go get that car? Work for it. But you don't need that car to be happy. That's just a vehicle, right? The house, same thing. It's just a vehicle. The money is just a vehicle. The happiness is the way that you're going to go get those things. So, Teresa, I mean, this was delicious, and I feel like we could rant until tomorrow morning. We'll be doing this on another occasion for sure. But before letting you go here, I just want to kind of give you this opportunity to tell people where's the best place to connect with you. If somebody's interested, if somebody needs some Reiki healing after hearing this, like, oh my God, I need to work with Teresa or know more about her, where's the best place to connect with you in that regards?
Thank you. So definitely here on Instagram, Teresa Greco _ steps to happiness. There's also my website, teresagreco.ca. And I'm on Facebook as well, Steps to Happiness with Teresa Greco. But there's my internet TV show where I have a weekly show where we talk about the different ways that we can nurture all aspects of ourself, our physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual self. And so as you know, we recorded your episode that will air this coming fall. So we'll talk about that. I hope to do a live with you just before your episode airs that week so that we can, highlight things that we've talked about. And yeah, so any of those ways.
I mean, that is beautiful, 100%. We'll definitely do that live as well. And everything you mentioned will be in the show notes below. So Teresa, once again, thank you very much for being here, for just sharing your thoughts, your energy, and just your authenticity. It was so present. I truly appreciate it. And I just wish you all the best. And if there's anything I could do to support you, know that I'm here for you.
Thank you, Chris. And I feel so honored also to be able to have spent more time with you and to share more of my message of happiness. I feel like it takes a weight off when you know that you don't need to buy anything, you don't need to earn anything, you don't need to achieve anything, that it is inside of you to feel at any moment. It's like, really? I don't have to spend thousands of dollars to get to this like amazing location. I don't have to wait till, I find that perfect person or I buy that house in order for me to be happy, that I can be happy now. And it's just a matter of taking time to connect with it. And in any moment, I think for me, that's just like, wow, I can do this. I can do this. I can have it now because it's inside of me to feel at any moment.
I love that perspective. Honestly, life is a perspective game, and when you change that perspective, you're able to see all the things that you're blessed with, and that's exactly the perspective of we already have everything we need to succeed and be happy. Starts at the base level. So once again, Teresa, thank you very much for your time. Have a blessed Friday, and we'll be speaking very soon.
Thank you. Bye.